Have you ever thought that you were a sinner? Or has anyone in your life ever judged you as a sinner? From Spirit's perspective, mistakes, mishaps, missteps, and falls are all a natural part of the growing process. Let's get real. If you were already able to do everything perfectly on the first try, what would be the purpose of attending life in human form here on Earth School? We're all here to learn and grow. And learning takes place through an experiential process that includes learning by observing others as well as learning by doing. The doing of anything new always includes a great deal of trial and error. Learning is not neat and tidy. Learning involves tripping, falling, spilling things, making messes, and then cleaning them up. My understanding is the word sin, as used in many religions, comes from the Greek archery term that meant landing off the mark. In the process of learning, you may begin by aiming in the wrong direction entirely, landing well off the mark your first few tries, maybe even dozens of hundreds of tries. However, your soul will be urging you on, whispering directions in your ear in the form of your intuition, your gut feelings, or your instincts. Each time you take aim and act, if you are persistent and you learn to say no to temptation and you become willing to follow the will of your soul's instruction, you will get closer and closer and closer to hitting your soul's intended mark or goals. Landing off the mark is never a bad thing. From Spirit's perspective, it's simply an opportunity for learning. Certain behaviors or attitudes have been labeled as sins in spiritual teachings in order to assist humankind with becoming more aware of which sort of things might trip us up or land us in a ditch along our path. These lists were just meant to be informational, not punitive. Some behaviors are going to take us further off course than others and will cause us more internal pain and suffering as a natural result. Things like adultery, stealing, lying, murdering, cheating, acting out inventions, greed, gluttony, jealousy, coveting, and so forth are all human experiences that are typically filled with lots of pain for the learner who gives in to the temptation. No matter how much wise, cautionary advice someone may receive, a person may need to go through such pain in order to learn and grow. Remember how temptation works. In my own personal experience, I only learned that the platter of tempting foods made me ill after I had eaten from it repeatedly. So, regardless of whether or not these behaviors appear on some list of commandments or deadly sins, if they are part of your own soul's curriculum, it only follows that you would have to have some experience in these areas in order to overcome the obstacles being presented. And so to sin or to land off the mark is neither good nor bad from your soul's perspective. It is simply accepted as a natural and normal part of your human learning experience. This by no way implies that I think that everyone should intentionally run out and lie, cheat, steal, rape, commit murder, whatever, just because it's all okay in Spirit's eyes. That would be very silly. Since the more conscious we are, the more internal pain and suffering we experience as a result. Our consequences will equal our level of awareness. However, when these types of lessons occur before we are consciously aware enough to stop ourselves, this means that they are an important part of our coursework. Have you had any of these types of lessons that were part of your soul's curriculum? If so, you will have learned a tremendous amount of invaluable information each time you gave into the temptation and experienced that resulting suffering. Everything that occurs for you has assisted you in your awakening process, bringing you into a higher level of awareness, acceptance, compassion, gratitude, and so on. And if you have engaged in anything that you have defined as a sin in the past, if you haven't already done so, I would strongly encourage you to spend some time sending some compassionate self-forgiveness to your younger self via your memories, letting yourself off the hook from any self-judgment you may still be harboring. You can hold in the knowing that if you could have done it any better, you would have. You did the best you could at that time, given your experience, your level of awareness, and so forth. Flood yourself with compassion, making it all okay until there are no longer any parts of you that are stuck in shame or suffering. Free yourself from old, unsupportive ideas. Rewrite your definition of sin. Say, to sin just means to land off the mark. Action step. Let go of old ideas of sin and punishment and cultivate a learning perspective towards life. Declaration. To sin just means to land off the mark. Landing off the mark is a normal part of free will choice, and the natural consequences I create are my lesson. Everything I've ever done is okay and acceptable in my soul's eyes. I've never done anything wrong. Therefore, I let go of the need to punish myself. Many blessings of joy and vibrant freedom.